Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Volkl Vostra V10 320. The 10 series from Volkl is their most precision-based player's racket line, and this 320-gram version delivers enough mass for stability and plow-through. It features a variable beam, which is 20.5 millimeters in the shaft and tip, and 22.5 millimeters at the 3 and 9 axis for torsional stability. Compared to the previous model, this one packs a higher swing weight for added plow-through and pop. Red Cell technology combines V-Cell carbon fiber with the flexible REVA resin, resulting in a more elastic construction for enhanced stability, pocketing, and feel. This racket also features Volkl's classic V-engine technology of its 10 series franchise. For fans of the classic Volkl 10 series, but searching for a bit more forgiveness and pop, should definitely take this one for a hit.
I've hit a bunch of these new Volkl Vostra line of rackets, and this V10, the heavier, is my favorite racket so far in the lineup. I really like the way the racket comes through the ball, super solid at impact. Nice plush feel, very dampened response from this, very comfortable response from the string bed on this one. Even when it's strung up with a firmer poly, I found it to really just come through the ball, offer nice stability, good solid plush feel at impact. I did find the racket a little off balance feeling in my hand. I would prefer it to be a little bit more head light, maybe a leather grip or a little bit of tungsten putty in the butt cap would cure that. And I would like it just a couple more points head light just to get that tip rotating around. But it was only really noticeable between the points when I was actually hitting the ball. Again, I like the way the racket came around my body, really solid feel, as I mentioned earlier. And I played very well with the racket. My shots were going exactly where I was aiming. I was hitting maybe just a little bit shorter in the court, but it was an easy adjustment, just gave the ball a little bit more lift and height over the net. And then I was finding my targets from then on really, really well with this racket. Played points with it exceptionally well. I like serving with it, starting that point with a good, solid serve. This racket's got the mass to help me do that. And then on the return as well, I can take the ball early, really compact swing, and just let the racket do the work for me because it's got some nice beefiness and useful mass to it. So yeah, fun play test for me and definitely my favorite of the new Volkls.
The specs of this racket line up perfectly with what I normally gravitate towards on the court. And unlike the guys on this playtest, I prefer a more modern, stiffer, thicker beam. So I was really having fun hitting with this racket. The first time I picked it up, I actually didn't think I would like it. And I was surprised how well I was jiving with how fluid the racket swung from the ground. I found that that swing weight was just perfect for me to feel comfortable picking up the speed, but I also didn't have to swing as hard to get the ball deep in the court, good access to spin. This one was a fun one to take to the net as well. I did know on my ground strokes and my volleys, it felt like the sweet spot was specific, and I felt like the racket flopped a tiny bit if I was outside my sweet spot, a little outside of the middle of the racket. I honestly shouldn't be hitting it out there, but it was noted. On serves, I had no issues generating good power and spin with this racket, and on returns, I enjoyed it as well. It's a more maneuverable racket than ones that I have been playing with, so anytime I have that opportunity to hit more angles, I really try to enjoy opening up the court instead of hitting through the court. So I found some good variety with this racket, and it was a great option from Volkl.
I really enjoyed the playtest for Volkl's new update to their Vostra V10 320. I've been testing a lot of rackets lately and playing with rackets that are maybe around 305 grams, testing rackets that are even lighter. So all of a sudden this one bumped me up to the ceiling of what I can effectively handle around the court. This may fit other playtester specs perfectly, but this kind of leans towards the ceiling. High swing weight, 11.9 ounce overall static weight, and a firm beam made it pretty easy to transition shots from the baseline off of either wing. My slice was pretty impactful. My whole game involves, counter punching, absorbing pace, changing direction of the ball. So I was able to do all of that really well. I particularly like serving with it. But in the end, after about an hour and a half or 2 hours of singles, the weight was kind of wearing on me a little bit. I probably would agree with Chris in trying to tail weight it just to crank out a couple of extra balance points without jacking the swing weight up. But overall, this is a great all-court play test and racket for my game.
First thing I noticed when hitting with this new version of the 10 series, the Vostra V10, is I really like the spec as far as the weight and the maneuverability and just that kind of initial moment when you pick it up and shake hands with the racket. Almost a perfect spec for what I like. The swing weight kind of being in that mid to upper 320s with the 320 unstrung weight. Thought it was just a nice, stable, solid feel. Another thing that I really liked about it is the control and precision. With the Volkl head shape kind of being more oval on most of their players' rackets, I really feel like I get a lot of precision from the baseline, and especially at net, it has that really nice feel in placement when I was hitting my volleys. One thing I did notice is with this kind of more modern version, I hit it side by side with the C10 Pro, one of their most classic rackets. I did notice the thicker beam, slightly stiffer feel, which kind of gives you a little more forgiveness, a little more pop, but just me kind of being more of that fan of that really thin, flexible frame. I do like the feel of the C10 just being really silky, smooth, and soft. So I like this racket for the most part. Maybe just a takedown in feel compared to some of the classic Volkl rackets, but a really nice addition to the line, and overall I was just really in control of the ball. For this play test, we tried this racket with a variety of Volkl polyester strings, including V-Star, V-Pro, and for the review today, we have Volkl Cyclone, all strung at about 50 pounds. For more information on this racket or anything tennis related, be sure to head to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.